Petulance.
All right, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the February meeting of the Sustainability and Climate Commission. It's so wonderful every month to sit down and to see all of your faces, to be able to share in a meal together. So thank you for taking time to be here. For those of you in the room, of course, we've got dinner over here, so please don't hesitate during the meeting to nourish yourself. It's a wonderful vegetarian meal that I'm so glad that we're able to provide. You'll also notice that we have a number of city staff in the room as well, so feel free to introduce yourselves during the break and familiarize yourself with the great people who do this work here at the city. And I'm going to go ahead and hand over to our co-chair Jose to get tonight's meeting started.
Thank you, Vivian. Again, my name is Jose Gamero Georgeson, co-chair, he, him, L pronouns, and I'm with co-chair Isa, who will be co-facilitating with me. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of the meeting agenda overview. As you can see, regular stuff at the beginning, and most of this meeting is a work session. We're going to move from reflection, what we have learned, to action, what we do about it, while we also start the CAP development process, and then we'll move over to structure, how we organize ourselves to act on short-term climate priorities, again, while we also undergo the CAP development process over the next 2 years. Next slide, please. But we'll start with a regular meeting introduction and reminders. Next slide. We'll review the notes about this meeting and our working agreements. First, the notes about this meeting, the next slide. Like always, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted online for transparency. Please make sure your name is just a small title, COMM period or alt period. And please raise your hand on Zoom to speak. Share your name every time you speak for accessibility reasons. Then for public comment, individuals will be called on by the facilitator. And all materials for this meeting, as always, can be found online at the website listed there. And Wayne is here, like always, to help if anyone has any tech issues. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Next slide, please. Okay, working agreements. Which commissioner wants to read the bolded sessions aloud today? Who's not sure? The volunteers?
Shamaya? Commissioner Maya, D2. Speak with clarity and focus. Wait, why am I talking? Assume good intentions, but attend to impact. Be willing to make mistakes and be forgiving of those who do. Allow for and appreciate disagreement of opinions, ideas, methods respectfully. Build on other people's ideas. We value participation, both in person and virtual.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Next slide, please. Now on to public comment. Next slide. So for public comment today, we have one person signed up. Please, I'll call you in just a second, or maybe virtual. So please, when you give your testimony, please start by saying your name, your pronouns, and any relevant roles that you'd like to share. And you have 3 minutes. So I have Mike. How?
And they're online and they have to accept the permission to panelists.
Oh, and Mike can accept the promotion of panelists. So we can.
Am I on?
Let's see if we can get Mike. Apparently there's echo issues as well. So if you can mute, Coach, you can mute your computer.
I'm getting a lot of feedback on my end. I don't
And
know if
Mike,
you are when
Go
I
ahead and get
speak.
started. Don't forget name, pronouns, titles, where do we start?
Yeah, my name is Mike Hauk. I'm director of the Urban Green Spaces Institute,
Can't-
and I
We
emailed
can't hear you.
quite a lot of material to you all. I'm not going to go through all of that. I heard just yesterday that you were having this
Hold on
meeting.
just one moment, Mike Haug. We're having some audio issues with hearing you.
Here. Mike, can you try rejoining the Zoom? So sorry about that.
I will try. Un momento.
Get this worked out soon, tech issues. We appreciate the public coming, giving its testimony though.
How's that?
Yeah, right.
No.
Let's try again. Let's see if we can hear you this time.
Commissioner Dan, I see you online. Can you try to unmute and speak?
Hey, Commissioner Dan, D3, can you hear me?
We're
Okay.
having a issue.
Because I can hear Mike.
No.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yep.
Online in the room.
So they apparently can't hear us. That's
So we
interesting.
can't hear anyone who's online, so trying to get that worked on. Just 1 second, please. That the online echo stopped, so that's good. But
Yeah, I don't have permission.
We're in a tech,
Yeah. What would you like to do?
but it can't seem to get the public comment. Get their audio.
I don't know.
Mike, can you speak again?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mike, but I don't think they can.
Oh, maybe you can relay my comments.
Well, I don't think they can hear me either.
How?
We might have to do it through a computer like
Okay.
this. So I'm gonna mute us in here since we're not.
So Dan,
Yeah.
did you get the comments I emailed?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did. Yeah.
Good.
And Elaine posted them in the chat as well.
Okay.
Um,
That's the important thing.
Galen, are you online too? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear both of you.
Okay.
I'm online as well, and I can hear everybody.
Yeah.
So of the people who can hear, did you get my comments that I emailed? Okay, good. I don't want to take your whole time tonight, so I'm perfectly happy to know you've got what I sent in to you, and I feel good about that. A lot of what I had to say is not germane to your very specific topic tonight anyway, but it's more general. So if it turns out I can't give my comments orally now, that's fine. Of course, you all need to be communicating with one another, so I
Yeah,
don't even know.
exactly. If we want to put any comments in, which we have a fair amount. So.
Okay, now they should be able to hear us.
Now they can hear us. Okay, Mike, you can go ahead.
Okay, my name is Mike Hauk. I'm director of the Urban Green Spaces Institute. I emailed you all a fairly lengthy document that I will not repeat verbally. I'm just hopeful you'll all take a chance to look at it. The main thing I wanted to do is focus on two very basic points. First of all, I spent about 3 years on the Multnomah County Portland Sustainability Commission. We had a lot of good minds on that group and had a lot of great conversations, but we basically, I don't think, really got very far. And a lot of that was due to a lack of resources, in my opinion. And when Sam Adams walked into one of our meetings and asked who was willing to serve on the new Joint Planning and Sustainability Commission, my hand shot right up because I felt that the combined commission might actually have more resources to have some good outcomes. And in fact, that did come to pass. And we eventually had an updated climate action plan. And very importantly, and this took 2 to 3 years of lobbying to finally get a climate preparation strategy. I use the term adaptation, but the term that was used was preparation. It's a pretty good document. And when I then spent 11 years on the Planning and Sustainability Commission, we got a lot of great work done. And in fact, at the very end of my term, it was decided to split the sustainability and planning off into two separate groups, which frankly, I oppose mainly because I was concerned that a low priority would be given to the Sustainability Commission, which in my opinion, it had prior to the Joint Planning and Sustainability Commission. So my concern is you have a huge task in front of you to update the climate action plan and to incorporate climate adaptation in that plan. And so I'm just expressing my concern and hopeful that you all will be aggressive in making sure that you actually have the resources staff-wise and otherwise to get the job done. That's the main point I wanted to make tonight. Secondly, in all my conversations with a number of city councilors and just looking at what the city's priorities are with regard to climate change, almost all of it is focused on mitigation or reduction of greenhouse gases, which is really important. There's no doubt about that. Mitigation is critical to reduce the intensity of climate change by reducing greenhouse gases. We're already facing the impacts of climate change. In 2021, a heat wave caused hundreds of human deaths. In 2015, windrows of salmon washed up on the shores of local streams, and the Willamette River and Johnson Creek experienced its highest flood since 1996. In 2021, the heat dome caused hundreds of human deaths. We're simply not heeding those early warning signs. And if you want to know what I mean when I say adaptation, there are actually some great examples that the Bureau of Environmental Services, and in some cases working with Portland Parks and Recreation, have on the ground. And I'd love to get you all out in the field along Johnson Creek and Crystal Springs Creek to look at some of these fabulous projects that, while they may not have been thought of as climate adaptation initially, that's certainly what they resulted in. The best example, I think, are the Foster floodplain work, the Westmoreland Crystal Springs restoration, and the recent Westlands restoration project. So if you want to know what I'm talking about when I use the term climate adaptation, those are great examples. And again, I'd love to get you out with city staff to take a look on the ground at what I'm talking about.
Thanks, Mike.
And the rest of my comments you all have in writing, and I hope you read it. And I'd love to interact with you again in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the testimony.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Hi.
Commissioner Anderson?
two things. One is that I never saw the document that the witness is referring to. Did it get forwarded to us all
It's in the Zoom chat,
in the,
all of the documents, and we'll email them after the meeting. But if you
Okay.
open the Zoom chat, all the documents are linked
Okay.
in there.
all right. And then I'd like to ask the witness whether he isn't supposed to be out counting birds in Eastern Oregon this month. Where is he? Mr. Hauk, did you leave?
Yeah, Commissioner Angus, we don't go back and forth with the testimony usually. We do not go back and forth with testimony.
We can't question a witness? Oh,
Testimony? No, generally it's not. Okay, next
Okay.
slide, please. I think that's all the testimony we got today. The next we'll have the commission updates and
Oh, well.
next slide, please. And first, I'd like to invite our Chief Sustainability Officer, Vivian Satterfield, back to give her CSO report. And then I'll facilitate any questions or discussion.
Great. Thank you so much, Co-Chair Jose. Appreciate that. For the record, Vivian Satterfield, your Chief Sustainability Officer. I have a number of updates to share with you today, so bear with me. First of all, I want to acknowledge, actually, this is a really big week for a lot of cultural holidays. So happy Lunar New Year. It's the start of Ramadan as well. And it's really great that we're all spending time here together. So thank you so much. First of all, I want to give you awareness that there is an invitation from the Council Climate Resilience and Land Use Committee, reached out to myself and Elaine Biska Livingstone. So your co-chairs, Elaine and myself, will be at the Council Committee on Thursday, February 27th, over across the street. The committee would like to hear about what we've accomplished this past year, not even a full year, but what we've accomplished in the time that we've been meeting together, and also what's upcoming. So to give you a preview, we plan to highlight the upcoming Earth Day in Motion event that's happening in April, the recruitment that we're opening for the youth commissioner positions, which will be available as well. We also want to give the council committee awareness of the climate action plan, early plans for development, and where we're going to be going with that. And then what we're talking about today, the Policy Implementation Committee that will provide near-term guidance to council, the mayor, and city administrator. I just want to offer a note. As of today, there is also a proposal from Council President and the Vice President Clark for overhauling council committees. It actually was passed, so that did happen today. The current climate-related topic is slated for a committee that's called City Life. City Life also focuses on business and workforce issues, arts programs, and other economic development topics. So more to come. I still actually have to go back and listen to the council deliberation on it because I was working during the day as they were deliberating to further understand that council committee. But they'll be sunsetting the current committee structure, and then the new committees will be starting in April. So more to come on that. Everything is online at portland.gov if you'd like to follow in real time. I'd like to also offer an initial area of work in the climate action plan development. We'll be starting this work actually with next week's youth retreat with the youth framework for the next climate action plan. And then there will be an ongoing process in the coming months that will likely span the better part of a year and a half, 2 years. So your participation and focus at the youth retreat is the first opportunity we'll have to start digging into what that climate action plan development looks like. I still have more updates. We've been busy because the city auditor was conducting a climate justice audit. Climate justice audit is a performance audit and typically is a retrospective, looking at past programs and achievements. And the city administrator submitted an official response to the climate justice audit already this week. That report is currently embargoed. City Council will receive a copy and the media will receive an early copy, and then it will be available to the public. Again, the climate justice audit is retrospective, but it contains some real guidance for the next climate action plan. And so look forward to digesting those findings and the recommendations. And the audit and the climate administrator's response together will be made public on Wednesday, February 25th.
Progress.
So we will ensure that we send this to you in a weekly high five when it's available, so you'll have that immediately. And I had a bunch of updates that I was tracking for the legislative session, but if any of you who work in Salem, I know there's a few of you who do track that really closely, know my updates are already out of date. And we were encountering a Republican walkout that happened today as well. I can just offer a few highlights. That a number of bills that we were tracking that were relevant to climate and sustainability issues. We did have written testimony that was submitted in support of bills such as a battery extended producer responsibility program related to batteries. There also was a letter of support offered for a balcony solar device bill. Many of these bills did not further advance this session, and there's a great deal that's still in limbo. But I did want to make you aware that city bureaus and leadership and relevant service areas have been active this legislative session and submitting not just bill reviews. Many of the staff who are here today have been also busy reviewing lots and lots of bills. Many of them don't ever come to fruition, especially in a short session. But I want to make you aware that we've been tracking quite a bit, and we'll continue to do that and hopefully look forward to the long session in which there will be more meaningful progress on the work that pertains to the commission. And lastly, wanted to give you awareness that Mayor Wilson and Multnomah County Chair Vega Peterson recently sent a joint statement out to the public in relationship to the Trump rollbacks on EPA rollbacks of the greenhouse gas finding rule. And so you may have seen that in the media, and I'm very glad that our elected leaders are standing up in this way. Okay, I think that's all I had today. Thank you so much, co-chairs.
Thank you, Vivian. Again, Jose Gabriel Jortson. There was a lot of updates. Does anyone have any questions about the updates? Okay. Seeing none, just oh, there we go. Sorry, Commissioner Damon.
This is Commissioner Damon Montstory, District 1. Very hopefully quick question. Thanks for the awesome updates. Do you know if the city of Portland supports or sent testimony to support the Climate Resilience Superfund bill that's in the legislature? Are you aware one way or the other?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. For the record, Vivian Satterfield. While I did offer a bill review personally for that, I do not know offhand if there was formal support for that beyond just staff offering bill supports and reviews for that, but I can definitely find out more information.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just a minute, I'm working on my hand.
No, go ahead.
Where's my little hand thing?
Okay,
Okay, there.
Commissioner Vivek.
Yeah, I can go here. Vivek, District 2, he, him, his. I'm curious about the auditor's report and just generally auditors are accountants. And so to the extent that this audit was more comprehensive and substantive, I'm wondering if you can, as we get it, it's probably going to be a report, maybe a few sentences in the high fives about what it is. I'm curious if I think it's probably too much to ask for a preview, but if you care to share, that would be great. If you don't, then I'm wondering who's involved in that process. Like, who are the people who are able to review the climate action plan, provide feedback, and what kind of substantive material could there be in there? Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate that question around the audit. For the record, Vivian Satterfield. What I can share with you is that the climate justice audit title is Climate Justice, Clear Direction, Strategies, and Transparency Needed to Follow Through on the City's Climate Commitments. It's a retrospective. It is not necessarily on the climate action plan itself, but the plan, the audit findings are embargoed. So I've probably already shared too much by sharing the title of what's forthcoming, but we will make sure that you have it once it's released.
Commissioner Stephanie.
Commissioner Stephanie Kaza, she, her. My question is about the disappointing vote for the new that kind of collapsed the climate committee. If I'll use the term disappointing because I'm wondering if you will discuss this at your session next week and how that committee sees their work carrying forward now that the word climate does not appear on any city council committees.
Yeah, I appreciate that observation, Commissioner Stephanie, Vivian Satterfield, speaking here. While my understanding is that at the council committee, it is not a discussion with staff, rather a presentation about what the Sustainability and Climate Commission is doing. And then in the same session, they have asked the Planning Commission to also share their plans. I'm sure that some of the members of that committee may share a similar sentiment to yourself.
Thank you. Anyone else? I see no hands online and now they're finally showing up, so, okay. Next, just a little update, again, Jose Guillermo Georgeson, on the executive session we had recently. Basically taking a lot of the feedback we've received from all of you, so we appreciate you filling out the little feedback forms at the end of every meeting. And there's a lot of discussion for the need for action, which is why today's meeting is a work session. That's pretty much the most important thing we talked about. We also had a bylaws committee this past week, and I could not be there, so I will ask Coach Isa to go over what we went there.
Thank you, Coach Jose. This is Coach Isa for the record. And so just to keep it brief, so for the bylaws committee, right now we're just making progress on the bylaws and we're hoping to have them through the city attorney review in April. Back to Coach Jose.
Yeah, there we go. The next thing is the Power to the Youth Retreat is going to be Monday, February 23rd from 5 to 8 p.m. It's in person and it's required for all commissioners. One of the outcomes of the retreat is a youth framework for the next climate action plan. And this will be debuted at the Earthy event on April 11th. So I hope you can all be there. Does anyone have any questions or anything regarding any executive session bylaws or the retreat? Okay, seeing none, we'll pass it over to Coach Isa.
Thank you, Coach Jose. Again, for the record, this is Coach Isa. So now we're going to be moving into discussion about discussion to create the policy implementation committee. Next slide. So this discussion is designed for us to move from reflections about our work so far to action and structure, especially on how we're going to organize ourselves and what do we do about our reflections as we go into trying to develop this climate action plan. And so we're going to try and keep this three-part discussion separate and make sure to keep your comments concise, which means under 2 minutes. And I may need to interrupt you if we need to allow time for others. And so the intent of this committee is to advance near-term climate priorities grounded in the climate emergency work plan, while the commission also develops the next climate action plan. And so this committee will serve an advisory role to the mayor, the city administrator, and city council, and will serve an advocacy role to external decision-making bodies. And so this committee is going to serve multiple functions. It can be for identifying policy opportunities that overlap with city priorities. It can be to support climate work that's currently in progress, or just to surface new opportunities. Next slide. So here's some questions we have for reflection. And so firstly, you can answer any part of the question, so don't feel the need to answer them methodically or in order, and because they're simply meant to spark discussion. And so I'll be facilitating and looking for any hands on Zoom for answers to these questions. Commissioner Jessica.
Hi, Commissioner Jessica, she, her, District 1. One of the observations that I had, just in thinking about reflection, really about, themes and connection, is the level of connectivity, I would say, and the abundance of data that exists within the city. I felt like the folks that we have heard from, the reports that we've had the opportunity to review, the information that's out there, the city is deeply informed about the challenges it faces, right? Where emissions are coming from, like what's happening. And so I think we really have a very solid foundation. I think in most types of climate work, we know that, we can't manage what we don't measure, and we've measured quite thoroughly and for an extended period of time. And I think that just really has helped me feel that as a city, we're very well positioned with a good springboard to jump off of as a result of that. And I think that's really impressive, and kudos to the many folks around the city, because it seems like a challenge then that is related is that there is work happening disparately in many different places. And I know we don't have necessarily the full scope of the city structure maybe committed here, but it seems like there's work happening in many different places, which is both embeds the opportunity, but also maybe the decentralization might impede some success.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Dan.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Dan, Heham D3. Yeah, I think there's like a couple opportunities, and yeah, I definitely agree with like some of the decentralization and getting like that in some alignment. But there's opportunities with what Metro is doing and what the county is doing around the climate justice plan and our other plans. And so, and what PSEF is doing. And like, there's a whole bunch of like near-term things that we could be like complementing and supporting that maybe aren't like across the finish line, as like we've seen the emergency work plan progress and things like that. And so I think, you know, maybe hearing from or connecting with like some of the other work that's occurring, maybe that's occurring within the city of Portland, but maybe not by the city of Portland, right? And then also aligning with the strategies that PSEF it has already underway in many parts of our town. So that's like the big thing that's like kind of coming from me is like we can be connecting with other entities that are doing big work.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Galen.
Hi there, Commissioner Galen, he, him, District 2. Just thinking about the third question here, and I think in the emergency work plan, we have a lot of things that are both ongoing and some that are achieved, but I think we heard in pretty much every briefing about one that has been delayed that feels like an elephant in the room, which is the E1, which is about the clean electricity, because so many that feels like kind of a foundation. So many of the other things that we are trying to achieve really pivot around that one. And so that one feels like something that has a high priority because of the ripple effects of that. The other thing I was just going to mention was the way that we're tracking, we have a lot of data and the emissions factors and reaching net zero. But I think there is a little bit of a hole that we're not tracking the consumption-based emissions. And given our kind of, we all live in the same world, and so our emissions, even if they're coming from not necessarily in the city of Portland or Metro, I think starting to account for that would mean a lot. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Galen. Commissioner Alina.
Commissioner Alina, she, her D2. Responding to the first question, these are just thoughts and kind of fluid questions that I have for some of the observations, but I'm just curious to understand a little bit more about how bureaus are working more cross collaboratively with other non-city organizations, and how are some of these groups and orgs that are being assigned to each of the climate action goals being held accountable to meet some of the deliverables. Something that I observed, which goes into question 2, but a lot of these aren't time bound or specific. So I think there's an opportunity to be a little bit more less ambiguous around that, and having defined deliverables for maybe at the end of a year or something. And I do think that it shouldn't just be on the CSO and BPS to advocate for progress on these initiatives. I think there's an opportunity to operationalize this across and for the city to show up more cohesively. So those are just thoughts for now.
Thank you, Commissioner Molina. Commissioner Charity.
Hi, everyone. This is Commissioner Charity Fain, she, her, District 3. As I look at these questions and think about bigger picture and the presentations we've had, it stands out to me that we don't need more studies. We don't need more time to think about what the issue is. We see that the city is saying itself, we know what to do, right? So, but we're not by ourselves. We have to reach those goals. There are, statewide issues and county issues and regional and national issues that impact that. But I think something we have to think about, that as we plan and as we think about, reaching our goals, we can't forget those, but we also have to think about how this work fits within a political system where there's a lot of talk in this city right now about economic issues, about other national issues around safety. The people we work with very much fear for their safety and their lives right now. And what I'm seeing across the board is a lot of pushback around the type of work we do politically, that it costs a lot of money, not just costs a lot of money, but it costs people, individuals. So we have to think about this as like some of the presentation yesterday was about, yes, it's decarbonization, which helps address climate, and it's also about resilience, and it's also can be an economic engine for the city. This work that we're doing spurs and helps solve some of those other larger problems. And I think we have to think about that because those are things that are getting a lot of attention, and there's a lot of pushback around the type of work we do. Not that it's necessarily truth, but that it costs too much money. It costs individuals too much money, that energy affordability, we can't afford to do all this in the current political climate, both economically and others. And we can't afford not to do it. And keeping that as really something that we push. I think a lot of people just really still don't understand what the work we do is, or the work that the city does around these topics. And there's just a lot of other voices politically right now pushing to make this work seem either too expensive or not needed, or to kind of steal from whatever money generation there might have already been. So trying to just think about that positive side of the work. I think we all get a little bogged down in what we haven't done and how much there is still to do. But how this is a solution to other issues going on is just something I try to think about a lot. And I know, I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but it is a reflection time, not a polished time. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Charity. Next slide. So again, when discussing action, just remember that you can answer any part of the question, and again, don't feel the need to answer in order or methodically. And again, they just meant to spark discussion. And yeah, I'll call on whoever has their hand up for a question to answer the questions. Commissioner Stephanie.
Commissioner Stephanie Kaza, she, her, District 3. A couple of things that I have not heard talked about, which feel quite urgent in terms of number 2, is the CEI hub threat. I've gone to a number of the rumbles, not enough of them, but I think understanding its impact if we have a disaster at the CEI hub needs to be incorporated into our work. And chances seem pretty high. And the other thing that I would say is addressing the likelihood of another heat dome. Mike Houck actually pointed a little bit to this, but there's an El Nino forming, and I don't know that we're any more prepared for another heat dome. And I'm going to speak up especially for elders here. So those are a couple of things that feel quite urgent in terms of preventing harm. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stephanie. Commissioner Luna.
Commissioner Luna, she, her. I'm also responding to the second question about what feels most urgent, specifically urgent feelings around seizing an opportunity. And I think really an opportunity to focus on bringing youth into a lot of this work. I think there are a lot of valid concerns about what's going on right now and addressing the very pressing challenges, but I'm also concerned that as we're building up all of this work, we're building a foundation and bringing people into it who are able to give their perspectives and keep the work going for a longer amount of time. And I've been really thinking about education as part of that and bringing youth communities together into doing a lot of hands-on work and a lot more community engagement specifically focused on ensuring that everyone is aware of what the city's doing right now. I think there's a lot of work that isn't being seen or acknowledged in many ways.
Thank you, Commissioner Luna. Commissioner Damon.
Commissioner Damon Monstory.
Push the mic down.
Okay, trying again. Commissioner Damon Monstory, they, them, I use, I'm from District 1. I'm gonna reflect on a couple of things here. On the, what areas is climate relevant work already being done that needs to be recognized? I will shout this from the rooftops till I go hoarse, but the Portland Clean Energy Fund is funding an enormous portfolio of work that is hard to overstate, right? Like there's a bunch of money going directly to bureaus. There's a bunch of money going directly to community groups. And the vast majority of this city does not know about any of it. And a lot of people still don't even know that we have a Portland Clean Energy Fund. So I think there's a huge communications paradox ahead of us of how we can help the city to trumpet that a little bit more. One idea that I have is that this commission could perhaps invite like a PSEF grant recipient of the month to come and like present to us, and so that we could like be steadily absorbing and publicly platforming some of this stuff. Because frankly, the PSEF grant committee just like is too busy with the grants to actually be also platforming and highlighting some of these things. So just a thought there. And then number 2 is related to this, but something that feels incredibly urgent to me is making sure that those PSEF dollars stay as PSEF dollars and don't get redirected to the police association's measure or to the MOTA Center or to a whole host of other top-down politician priorities.
Thank you, Commissioner Damon. Commissioner Dan.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Dan, EMD3. Yeah, a couple things about urgency and preventing harm. So as has kind of been stated, we have lots of great data. We know where the hottest parts of the city are. We know where the urban heat islands are. We know the type of people who died in the heat dome and who have heat-related illness every single hot season. We know where those people are in our county, in our city. And we know adaptations that work. And so it's not too big of a stretch to then say, all right, well, here is where heat-related illness is. Here is where heat deaths are. Here are the types of people who are affected by this most, and focus really quickly in, say, the top 5% or top 10% of urban heat islands in our city and start doing some work right there. Because, yeah, as was already stated, we're going to get another heat dome. And we still have a lot of work to do to get those who were most vulnerable then to then also not be as vulnerable in the next heat dome. And so, like, as far as like pressing things that we could be dealing with, we have the data, we have the adaptation strategies. And so let's do something with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Dan. Commissioner Nora.
Hi, Commissioner Nora, she, her pronouns. I really appreciate all of the comments so far. I want to focus on the first question around the discussions we've had and what we've learned about the city's existing priorities. which to me feeds directly into, you know, these other questions and prompts and the work ahead. But what I've reflected on, and I think all of us, or I shouldn't speak for everybody, but likely many of us recognize that climate and our work is intersected with everything affecting our society and our city. And so when I think about the city's priorities, economic development, right, we know that if we are prioritizing efficient buildings, right, we're supporting jobs for HVAC installers, for technicians. If we are supporting strong investment in transit and, you know, multimodal streets, we're supporting public safety. We're also supporting local businesses, helping people get around and get to school and to work. Housing access and affordability, again, if we're investing smart from the start and efficient buildings that have, you know, heat pumps, are saving those people who live in them money over time on their utility bills and protecting them from the next heat dome by providing them, you know, a temperature safe environment. I could go on, but I'm very glad that this question is being posed to all of us. I think it is really critical to thinking about what is urgent. And another reflection I have on that is just what we've learned in terms of the state of our city government and this, you know, transition point we're in, which, you know, comes with its own challenges, but also a lot of opportunity. And so I'm just very eager and see an urgent need for us to have more conversations around, you know, what are our city leaders discussing, what's top of mind, where are there intersections and opportunities for us to uplift climate progress throughout those conversations, and not necessarily wait for, you know, a standalone policy proposal, although that is important too. But again, as we're thinking about housing, as we're thinking about economic development, where are there opportunities for us to uplift progress that needs to continue to be made. I think I'm rambling at this point too. This is the joy of a 6:47 p.m. meeting on a Thursday. I'll pause there. Thanks all.
Thank you, Commissioner Nora. Commissioner Dana.
Commissioner Dana, she, her, District 4. And yeah, echoing a lot of similar sentiments upon reflection, I think that we have to assume that we're at a time of very serious constraints in terms of budget, in terms of staffing, and that's just a given. And really the question kind of comes into that I'd like to spend more time is just around prioritization and helping understand how can we achieve more with kind of limited resources, kind of to the points made around co-benefits or around like permaculture principles, like how can you do many things at once? And I think that's where there's a lot of overlap with like economic development, with housing, whether it gets into embodied carbon and materials or creating workforce jobs for young people or for anyone. Also addressing public safety around just kind of transportation and access. I think that we can't approach this work as a silo. It needs to be very much embedded and integrated into all the other work that the city is doing, and kind of also with PSEF and then with all the other priorities. And I really would like to know more about kind of the political will of some of these different efforts, where we had success, where has there not been success, and why? Where have we had really good kind of momentum that came from community that wasn't supported because there wasn't the resourcing, but could be kind of vehicle for change. Those are the kinds of, I think, implementations are such a critical piece, and I'd really like to spend more time understanding like where there's been success, where there hasn't, where there's will, where there isn't, and echoing kind of sentiments around funding, keeping, I think, a lot of purity around the PSEF funds to what they're supposed to be focused on too. And that there's a lot of critique around currently with funding that's coming in or out or getting held at the city. So I think that the discussions around our budget is going to be really important moving forward, that there's a lot of accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dana. Paul, does anyone else have questions? But we need to move forward to the next slide. Feel free to ask any other questions or add any more comments in the feedback form after this meeting. And also, I'd like to pass the next slide to Co-Chair Jose.
Okay. Thank you, Co-Chair Issa. Again, now we're on structure. These are the questions. Please answer any further question. And jump around however you'd like. Commissioner Angus, you want to answer this one as well, or?
Yeah. Yes, if I may. Commissioner Angus, oops, thank you. Are we wired?
Don't do that though, right?
Damn stuff. Okay, sorry. So, I guess I have roughly the same answer to all three of these suggested discussion points, which is fundamentally that I don't think we, and by we, I mean this commission, I mean the city of Portland, I mean the state of Oregon, that we do not feel as impatient as we ought to about moving forward with actually with measures that will reduce emissions. And yes, provide for adaptation measures, particularly for those who are most vulnerable to the kinds of impacts that other folks have already described. But we can't solve this problem through adaptation. We can only solve it through reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And there are lots and lots of things that we still don't do as a city and as a state that we have authority to do, and that we at least have access to arguing for the resources to undertake these. I suggested and circulated to at least some folks here, I may not have done it to everybody, but a list of an initial set of actions that we could recommend to the city council while we are also in the process of revisiting and reviewing the climate action plan. They both can be done at the same time. And if there are measures that the city could undertake, that there is generally a consensus around this table and then ultimately around the city council table to move on, that we ought to be moving on those. And so I'm glad that we are, opening the door to a policy committee. I hope that we can charge that committee with sitting down with, not just my ideas, but everybody else's ideas as well. And piecing through them and trying to come up with a package of measures that could be undertaken sooner rather than later, that either leverage the city's authorities or leverage the city's ability to represent to the state or to the utilities what should be done, because there are lots of things that aren't being done yet that still could be. Many of those will involve, I think, some battles, some challenges from particularly folks who defend the status quo because that's what they're comfortable with and that's where their income comes from. But that ought to be done. So I applaud the decision to move forward with the policy committee, and I would certainly like to contribute to the agenda of that committee. I guess the last thing I would say is that, I'm impatient because I've worked on this issue for the better part of 30 or 35 years, but especially the younger members of this commission ought to be more impatient than I am, because they're the ones that are going to get stuck with this mess if we don't clean it up. And the last thing I would say is that while it is certainly true that the city of Portland is not going to move the global needle on climate change, if we don't do it, then the state's not going to do it. And if the state doesn't do it, the country's not going to do it. It's got to start somewhere. Might as well start around this table. And I don't mean that it hasn't started. I mean that we need to sit down and take a fresh look at what the next agenda ought to be and get started on it.
Thank you. Commissioner Suze?
Okay, Commissioner Suze, she, her, District 4. Okay, I would just, real quick to what Commissioner Angus shared, I think we're all impatient. I think we are all very impatient to see progress being made. And I have to say that for the priorities of this committee, it really seems like the first and foremost things are just to figure out, the projects that are still ongoing within the plan. Where are these projects stalling out? is it mostly a funding issue? Where are the most common obstacles coming up in terms of political will? And then what types of strategies can we use to work around that, or work with that, either way? But then also looking at, just really understanding what the council's current perspectives are towards climate goals, given the other city priorities. How open are they to the crossover of these different goals? And then also just seeing what are the most important regulations we could try and pass with the time that we have. If funding is the issue, if we can't get all the, all the projects that we might like funded, then what regulations can we pass? And if it's not on something like utility companies specifically that we may not have jurisdiction over, what regulations can we pass regarding the most intensive, whether it's, industry, whether it's looking at data centers encroachment that may be coming more so to the Portland area, or is it, looking at more so consumer emissions as well, and like what can we pass that would help consumers have better choices within that, and have more education around that. Yeah, that was related to question 2.
Thank you. Commissioner Vivek?
I might just ask that, if we can, since we're talking about structure, that we kind of step back. I get really dizzy quickly with the conversations that we tend to have here, where we're already jumping into specific categories of emission reduction, of adaptation, resilience, and I don't have hangers to hang this stuff on. Like, I don't really know what the values that we're really holding to, what the problem is we're trying to address, what the approach is that seems to work and not work in this context. Like, there's a whole bunch of unsaid stuff that will make or break whatever it is this commission puts forward. And I guess I just am feeling a little bit like we're already like moving, and the urgency is there. I get it. I fully commit to that. At the same time, I think it has a real double-edged sword for us running at windmills and trying to think that we are solving something when we really might not be solving the thing that we want to. And so I guess I'm just pleading for a retreat, maybe question, or a broader conversation about a framework that we feel like would be able to hold the level of depth and richness that this committee, a commission brings together, and the urgency that we all feel. And so just trying to like not dizzy myself and ground myself in stuff that I think we all identify as the, it doesn't have to be a singular problem or anything like that, but something that we can identify the values that we all hold near and dear, that we think are important, and then a framework that we think we can hang a lot of these amazing ideas on. So not a specific comment, but something for us to step back with.
Thank you. Commissioner Maya?
Commissioner Maya, D2. I was going to say the wrong one. Actually, maybe building off of Vivek's comment, I just had a question about the Policy and Implementation Committee, and whether it's going to be focused specifically on climate work that's ongoing with the city specifically, or like the city of Portland, or other groups within the city as a whole. And I guess I just pose that to everyone. Is this like a narrow scope, just the city's climate emergency work plan, or we're talking about existing work from other organizations?
Thank you. And actually, that's pretty good timing. There's no more hands, and we're due to take a 10-minute break. And that's exactly what we're trying to answer here. We're exactly right. What's going to be our scope? That's part of the structured question. So we'll keep talking about this when we get back. But for now, we'll be on break till 7:10, and then we'll come back then. Thank you.
Thank you.
internet
The-
thing.
yeah, no,
It
we're
was
on
like a
the
glitch on
NYC
the
together.
web, and they kept saying, you're not connected to the internet, so it wasn't Zoom. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Girl,
the net web
she does
kicked
so
me
many
out.
things. That's
But-
like the women in STEM.
Oh, yeah.
baddie.
Back in
Yeah,
the group again.
She's such a baddie. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I'm
no,
always so impressed
I
when people
be
talk, because
doing a
they're
lot
so
of things.
intelligent, and they draw on all their, you know, their
We do
professional
publish it.
experience, you know, like you're talking about.
Okay, okay. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But
Like basic things, right?
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'll lock in.
What school do you go to?
Lincoln?
Oh, okay,
Down,
okay.
right down.
Okay, so you go to school with Isa.
Oh no, this is supposed to
Oh, what? I thought he went to he went to that school. Oh my gosh.
We're all from different schools. Luna goes to Catlin Gable.
Oh my gosh. This queen. Oh my gosh. I mean
She got into me too.
who yeah, I did. I was gonna say congrats to her, but I don't know where she went.
I know, she ran to the bathroom. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh.
Also bathroom stuff.
Yes. No, literally. Oh my gosh. What do you do?
I'm probably also gonna do some. I'm going to OSU because I'm just saying.
Oh no. That's real. I go to PSU, so.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking. Okay, I was low-key gonna do PCC 2 years and then transfer.
A lot of my friends do that.
Yeah, so my friends too. But then they give me a scholarship and I'm like that, so I'm moving
Oh
out.
no. Yeah. You definitely do that if you feel like it's like your time to go. Basically, then yeah, you should definitely do that. I mean, I personally live at home because I got a full ride.
Yeah.
So I was
Oh my
just
gosh,
like,
okay, duh.
yeah, no. So
Yeah.
I was just like, I'ma be there. I like my little room. I like seeing my tortoise. I like, I've been taking the bus everywhere. So it's whatever.
That sounds okay. Full ride, you have to take that. Full
Yeah,
ride, there's
no. Yeah, no. And then what else? I mean, I just didn't see myself like moving out because I was just like, at the time I was like, girl, I don't even know how to drive. I mean, I know how to drive now, but like, it's like I don't even know how to drive. I don't know how to like live on my own. Like, I'm so scared to do that. So that's why I didn't take this step. But now I am considering.
Oh, transferring?
No, not transferring, but like just yeah, like.
What's it called? Spreading your wings?
Yeah, basically, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
what's
I forgot, bro. My mind is just like so dead right now. What do you study at least?
I do political science and then a minor in pre-law. So, and right now I'm studying for the LSAT.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Are you junior?
I'm a sophomore right now. But yeah, no, I'm doing that right now, and yeah, and I work at a law firm right now too. It's like
Oh my gosh.
yeah, no. So today I went to school and work, and then I went to this. Yeah.
God, that's good.
Yeah, no. So that's. Oh, I love your necklace. Is that an orchid?
It's like I actually don't know what it is. I literally got it this weekend at this thrift store. It's like pretty from that. I think like someone made it themselves because like it's not perfect, but it's really cute.
No, it's so cutesy.
Yeah.
I love. Yes, but what was I saying again? Where was I going with the conversation?
You're on the ground.
Oh yeah, no. Basically, yeah, no. But that's what I'd be doing. My schedule is just always busy, but I always have to make it work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's like so many important things to do.
What did you think of the conversations right now?
I liked. Okay, there were definitely some things I was like thinking in my head. I'm like, I was glad people said it.
Wait, what was that? Like in a better. Oh wait. Girl, I was spacing out, so I didn't understand. Tell me briefly, because what's it? OMG. Were they basically saying that we're not doing progress? Yeah, no, I was so confused because I was just hearing like all this back and forth, and I was just like, okay, go off, Queens, but
Yeah, I feel like I should just like say what I was gonna say because I feel like I'm not. I'm so uneducated compared to everyone here who's like works in industry.
oh yeah.
And like, what's his name? Vic, he was like, oh, I don't know. Like, what's
Yeah, no, he, yeah, I like what he said too, because I was just like, oh.
yeah. I feel like that framework would be
That is real. Oh, fuck, I thought my mic was on.
No, it's not.
Better not. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
2-minute warning.
Bro. I think I'm turning it off. I'm gonna just do
That's
that.
scary.
Anyways, yeah, no, but
Wait, it's still.
I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what the hell. Oh my god.
Anyways.
They won't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay.
No.
This,
It's definitely.
There we go.
it's now 7:10, so the break is over.
It's just muted all the time.
Yeah.
Guess mine doesn't work.
You have to like go closer.
Hey. Welcome back from break, everyone. So far, thank you for all your great thoughts. Now, we're gonna create the policy and implementation committee, including setting its purpose, membership, duties, and staff roles. We're gonna be doing live amendments to the policy and implementation document, and then testing some new technology we're using on the bylaws committee to do so. We all know how well that goes every time, so at least we have some practice now. Next slide, please. First, just as a little recap, and this is by no means an exact representation of what we talked about. What we reflected a bit on decentralization, the need for alignment, both within with city entities, but with other entities doing the work, and the need for more collaboration, how this work can be framed within the current political realities in order to extend our reach. We heard you talk about wanting to act on what can be done regarding the CI hub. Preparation to better deal with high heat events, the heat dome, better ways to engage with youth and the community, that we need to do a better job communicating some of the work that is currently being done, particularly by PSAP. And also with that, how to make sure PSAP dollars stay PSAP dollars. We talked about uplifting climate progress within other areas such as housing and economic development, instead of waiting to have it be its own standalone thing. We want to spend some time around prioritization, especially in these budget times, taking in consideration the history, political will, different things that can affect what we're trying to do here. We also talked a bit about the structure and making, and we need to make suggestions to councils with a package of measures that can help while still working on the climate action plan. Look at the past plan and see what's been successful, what has stalled, and then strategize as to how to make those things move forward and how to better approach the next climate action plan. There was also discussion around taking a step back and answering some of the big overarching questions, such as what we're really trying to solve, what framework would be appropriate for the work being asked of the commission. And with that, it's just setting our scope. And I'll add that for me, I think it's very important. I'm very process oriented and we have a lot of great ideas, but if we don't decide for a process and a goal and a direction to head in, we're all gonna head in a different direction and we're not actually gonna make progress. So we a little bit this way, a little bit that way, find a way to have a common goal and maybe tackle a few things at a time if we can't tackle, since we can't tackle everything. That's just a little recap of our discussion earlier. And then now we're gonna get to the documents. Next slide, please. Just so you know, we'll have the document up. It'll be the all up draft version and it's gonna be for live reviewing and for editing. And please type your amendments into the chat and then raise your Zoom hand. That way we can seamlessly put it into the draft. Then we'll discuss everything that's up there and we will vote on those to move them forward or not. Now, do we have any questions about this process? A lot of us are familiar with it. We've done it in the bylaws committee, but if you're not, at any point, if you have a question, please just ask. Happy to walk through it. Elaine, can you share the screen of the document? And Wing, if you could be ready to amend the document, please. And just a few things. The first thing we're going to talk about is trying to figure out the committee members. We can't have more than 10, not including alternates. And we can't have quorum of the full commission and a subcommittee. So 11 is quorum, so we can't have more than 10. I think that's going to be the hardest part. All work that is done there is going to have to come back to the full commission for approval, no matter what. So that commission will make decisions. It'll come back to the commission for us to vote on it anyway. So think carefully about your capacity, especially with scheduling. These meetings are most likely going to be during the day, during a weekday. For a lot of them. So if you can't ever make a meeting during the week, you might not want to sign up. We can all still attend and see what's happening without being voting members of the subcommittee. If you don't want to commit to being a committee member, you will still be able to watch, just like the public will be able to attend and watch the committee meetings. There are going to be more committee opportunities coming up, especially with the action plan development. They're going to provide focus areas probably, community engagement opportunities, frameworks committees, other things will come up. So if you decide not to do this, doesn't mean there's not a million things you can't sign up for in the future. We do want to make sure we have youth representation. I know we do all day meetings, that will be hard, so we're going to work on that. But we also want to try for district representation. So have someone from all over the place. And if more than 10 people want to be part of it, we'll probably try to see what everyone's schedule is like, and those that can attend the best day might get priority over those that cannot. And that's how we'll decide from there. Next slide. Oh, wait. Do you want us to choose the members now, or do you want us to email you with who wants to be on it and decide on the scheduling?
I think we need to amend this document first.
Okay. Have you all got a chance to read the document? Yes. Does anyone have any? Oh, there we go. Commissioner Stephanie.
Commissioner Stephanie, District 3, she, her. This is the third time I've lost the internet. I don't know why, but I just have a point of clarification quickly. Is there some thing in our creation documents that say alternates can't serve on committees? Because it would seem like that would be a really good way to include them, but it specifically said they are not here, so.
Oh, they can certainly serve, but they don't count towards the quorum requirement because they're not full members. So we have 10 commission members that can be there. Alternates can be members of that committee, but they don't count towards the 10. So we can have a maximum of 10 commission members.
All right.
All the alternates could be on it if they wanted to be, because they don't count towards quorum.
Okay, I think it's confusing as written, but I understand now. And
No, thank you.
I'll
That's a
try
good
to
question.
get back on the internet again.
And that's a good clarification.
Yeah.
As well. Are there any other questions or comments or amendments to this document? Commissioner Jessica.
Yes, question. Is this committee intended to have a limited duration and anticipated expiration, or is it intended to be ongoing? And I didn't see anything about time included.
That's an excellent question.
Thank you.
And it's up to us to decide, really, because there are limited time subcommittees, but there could also be standing subcommittees that are just ongoing. So if we decided that policy is something we always want, we could have it there indefinitely, for sure. And I don't think right now the current document sets an end date. Commissioner Nora.
Commissioner Nora, she, her. I have an initial small amendment, but interested in discussion on this, just to the purpose of the committee. I'll pose my question, which is around the word advances. I think in reflecting on our last commission meeting and other conversations in terms of, what I see as kind of the genesis of this committee, we have a lot of work ahead that's longer term in developing the next climate action plan and opportunities for identifying near-term policy priorities. And so I guess my question is whether this committee will actually be advancing, like doing the advocacy, for lack of a better word, to support progress, or is this committee, is it a both and, identifying near-term policy priorities and advancing? That was my initial proposed amendment. I will say that it would read: the Policy and Implementation Committee identifies and advances near-term climate policy priorities. I think is also important to, I know it's in the title, but just specify this is about policy priorities. But I also want to pose that question to the group, if advances is in line with how we're thinking about the role and purpose of this committee.
Thank you. Can you type that out into the chat?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll discuss that once it gets up there, but I see Commissioner Cherry.
Hi, yeah, this is Commissioner Charity Fain. I have a quick question, I think, clarification. Under Policy and Implementation Committee must point to, it says hold work sessions that include the following topics, and then doesn't list any topics.
Yes,
Are you asking us right now to suggest topics?
yes, that's why we're amending this document.
Yeah, I know that wasn't clear. You asked for lots of different amendments, but that's
Yes.
an area that is blank. That's not really an amendment.
Oh, an amendment to document is filling in anything that's missing as well. So it's just
Okay.
changing this document to better, these are just kind of a skeleton for us. But yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Commissioner Viva.
Hi, Commissioner Vivek, District Two, he, him. That's a lot of pressure to fill in that following topics. I will just say on a Thursday evening. That aside, I'm just curious, like you mentioned earlier, Commissioner Jose, that this committee, I'm glad it's there. It kind of just emerged. Like, I don't know if we talked about this committee last time or the time before, but I'm like excited for it. I'm also kind of like, what's the committee development process? And what, like, if we want to create a committee, do I raise my hand and say, hey, what do you all think about, a burrito eating committee? I don't know, but like, what does that process look like? And how do we actually go through it? So I don't know. It's a broader question related to the time frame and other things that just got me thinking about that.
Well, generally, if there's a subcommittee request, it would come to the co-chairs and staff, and there's a lot that goes into creating a subcommittee. This was proposed by a member of the commission, and that's why we brought it forward. A lot of it is also bandwidth, because committees, all our committees will have to be public meetings as well. So they have to be noticed and streamed and staffed, etc. So it's not, we can't just create 20 committees because we like 20 different kinds of burritos. We should think strategically about what we want to do. But yeah, we can talk about it as a commission and decide if we want to have another committee and then see if that's feasible within the framework that the city gives us to work in, right? Commissioner Angus?
Yeah, Commissioner Angus. So I have offered some language for item 2 up there. Again, that's just as a place to start. I would assume and expect as this committee, meets and talks about, what the agenda can look like, that, that list or any list will evolve. And I assume that that's within the purview of this committee, that it can shape and reshape the agenda. And I have also assumed, subject to correction, that when it's got a package it wants to, recommend to this commission, and I assume through here to the city council and the mayor, that's when it would come back and make a presentation to the full commission. That's not necessarily reflected there, but that would be a proposition for us to consider by way of process. While I appreciate Commissioner Vivek your comment about how we go about this, and I think it is a good idea to have a structured way to do it. But I also think, at least with respect to getting started on an initial agenda of things we want to recommend to the city council, that it's probably legitimate to cut a few corners at this stage in order to get this process underway. We can go back and we can tuck the loose corners in later on, but at least get this thing started. I started talking about this, I think, 4 months ago, and have discussed it in the full commission meeting, but also in as many individual, commissioner conversations as I've been able to schedule, constant with my day job. So at least the discussion this has been underway for several months. It may just not have been as broadly discussed as it could have been.
Thank you. Commissioner Seuss?
Hi, Commissioner Seuss, she, her. So this may be a little bit of an obvious question, but just to clarify, would the committee be looking to create policy packages as kind of has been discussed, or review existing, or look at what the city council is deciding to do right now? Like, I just am confused on whether this committee is charged with sort of proposing one of the first policies to come out of this commission, or whether it's really just reviewing whatever we should be most active on in the next 6 months. And then another question is just, isn't to some degree, this is what we're all supposed to be doing? Or I feel like it would be helpful to just clarify if this means that none of the rest of us should be looking at, or anyone who is not on this committee shouldn't be looking towards near term.
Yeah. So that's what this document will do, is set our purpose. So if we wanted to be looking at existing policies and talking about that, or coming up with new ones, that's what we're figuring out here. So far we have 2 amendments on the table. There hasn't been very many other ones, just additions, I think, so far to the one under number 2. I'm gonna take a few more hands. Commissioner Vivek? Sorry. No, still up. Commissioner Dan? Oh, there's more.
Commissioner Dan, him. Yeah, I'll put again that like topic section. So my what I'm going to put in the chat here is hold work sessions that include but not limited to the following topics. And also, I don't know that like getting very specific with these priority measures is the way to go about it at the moment. So saying something more like prioritization of actions on mitigation and adaptation. So like, because as the committee figures out these near-term things, I don't even agree necessarily that what's listed right now on this all up is the near-term prioritization, but I think the committee can get to what that is and then bring that back. So I think getting less specific in the initial language here, so something like what I'm about to post right now. But as the committee talks through these things, some of that could change. Maybe it is this, but I don't know if saying that right now that it's this is the way to go.
Thank you, Dan. I tend to agree. I think if we come up with a list of 1 million topics, that list could be forever long. So, and there's some things like we can't touch, like land use and zoning policies, we can't touch anyway. So that's outside of the scope of our commission, for instance. So we'll have to get more details about what we can and not, and we can't do. Commissioner Cherry.
Hi, yes, Commissioner Charity Fain. I actually just wrote in a very similar suggestion, hold work sessions that include but not limited to the following, because I do not like also the process of just, most of us haven't had a chance to reflect on what those topics might be. These might be perfectly fine topics and they might not be ones that I would agree with. And maybe that's the work of the committee. First thing is to come up with a list of topics, and that this should not be so specific, but just if we're going to list topics, something broad, you know, not land use, sorry, but transportation, building electrification, you know, very broad language that is more general. And then one of the first tasks the committee could come up with something more specific. I don't feel comfortable voting on something like this that's so specific without having had really any time to think about it, or as a group to had a chance to really process it. So I have my suggested that we're not limited, and then I don't have suggested language yet to make it broader. Maybe somebody else does.
Thank you. Commissioner Stephanie?
Commissioner Stephanie, D3, she, her. I think whoops, sorry. Commissioner Stephanie. I'm sorry. I've kept getting kicked off the internet. So
Please mute your computer.
I am muted and my sound is,
Your
sorry.
Zoom too.
I just muted. It should be okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, regrouping here. I added the topic of consumption-based emissions, but I support everybody who says not, these topics not limited to others possible, that sort of language. But I had another amendment to offer, although it might not be within our governance rules, but I can be overruled. That under the staff rules for the chief sustainability officer to say in that sentence, the chief sustainability officer sets committee agendas in coordination with the committee leadership. So that's a proposed amendment.
Thank you. I think that's what happens in practice, but the committee agendas and the commissioner agendas being set by the chief sustainability officer, it's something that is in city code. So we
Okay.
can't change that.
Okay.
See, that's why I'm saying there's certain things that we just have to do.
Yeah.
Having Vivian set our agendas are one of them, but I will say, as someone who sits on leadership, Vivian meets with us and we have a discussion and we are able to get feedback and talk and
Yeah.
help move things around. And then she ultimately sets the agenda, but it has always been, in my experience, with our input. And our input is with all the feedback forms and input we get from all of you as well.
Well, thank you for that clarification. I thought that might be the case, so I just withdraw that proposed amendment.
And like, for instance, the land use thing I mentioned before, it's because the state mandates that land use and zoning is is discussed at the planning commission. That's why we can't go into that. Commissioner Galen?
Yeah, I think, sorry, Commissioner Galen, he, him. I think actually withdrawing what I put in the chat, I just wanted to see something about adaptation and climate health as a near-term something that we're all tracking, not just kind of emissions, but also the current reality of things like the heat dome. So I'm just withdrawing what I have and in favor of having something about adaptation.
And we do have a lot of different versions of that number 2 in the chat. I was trying to type something and facilitate and respond, but I'm not very good at that. So if someone wants to come up with a new number 2 that doesn't have any topics, that just says that the committee will come up with topics to discuss and prioritize them accordingly, it'd be all about that. Someone else to do that. Commissioner Nora hasn't spoken yet.
I have spoken.
Oh, you
So
have?
others want
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Commissioner Nora, she, her, I just dropped in some language just in listening to the conversation that I attempted to broaden and center in the existing climate emergency work plan. And rather than using the language topics, was just suggesting it read hold work sessions that assess and consider opportunities to advance near-term policy actions identified in, should say, the climate emergency work plan. And then including but not limited to, and this language pulls from the language that is used in the existing climate emergency work plan. So rather than creating new terminology, it's really centering us in what are those actions that have been identified, that have been ongoing, that are already, again, in language and documents that we are utilizing as a commission. I don't know if it's necessary to actually list those, if it's sufficient, could be sufficient to simply reference actions identified in the climate emergency work plan.
Did you send that in the chat?
It is in the chat.
Yeah, it's the most recent one. Thank you, I appreciate that. Co-chair Issa.
So I'm gonna put it in the chat, but I would like to add for them, for the part of words for membership where it's bold, I'd like to add that I think there should be an amendment just to ensure that youth commissioners are properly represented on this subcommittee. So I'd like to add an amendment where it's basically just a minimum of 2 youth commissioners on this committee. just because the committee consists of 10 members, which is already half of the commission. So since there's 4 youth commissioners, I think it's only fair that 2 youth commissioners are allowed on this committee. And I'll definitely add that to the chat.
Thank you. Commissioner Angus?
Thank you, Commissioner Angus. Yeah, I'm pretty agreeable with, most of the ideas that have been discussed here. What I would hope is that we end up with, a smaller rather than a larger group, simply because the group dynamics, I think will lead, toward, a more focused discussion if it's a smaller group. And I think it is important that what comes out of this group, at least initially, be a pretty small and focused agenda of recommendations for actions. There's no way that you can wrap everything that involves climate and energy and adaptation into, an initial tranche of recommended city actions. So I don't know that that has to be, in an amendment somewhere, but I would encourage us to try to look for focus and relative narrowness, at least in the first, go around. And that may be a good reason, for example, not to include land use and zoning issues in a first go around. But I think I would respectfully disagree that that's off limits. Yes, it is largely a state action, but the city can represent, its needs and desires with the state, and that can be one of the actions that is proposed. And at least for the folks I was able to talk to, I think I may have copied you with a discussion that emerged out of the city council in Seattle, where they wanted to get a different treatment of densities and floor area ratios in return for, for getting those densities in certain transit corridors. And they couldn't do that because it was a state action, but they could go to the state and seek that kind of authority, and they did, and they got it. So I would not rule, something off limits, if not the first time out of the gate, then down the road, just because it is under the direct authority of the state.
Hands. Okay, so let's talk about the ones that are here. The first amendment was the very top one. That one seems to be very non-controversial. Does anyone have any issues or changes that they would want to make to this, or do they like the original, which just didn't have identifies? So do we have consensus that we're okay with the first one? Do we have any objections? No.
We're having a little bit of tech issues getting the document updated, so not everyone's amendments are quite in there.
No, that's okay. Yes, we'll work slowly, but at least the first one, it seems like everyone likes the first one. We're gonna say the first one, policy implementation committee identifies and advances is what we're gonna change it to. So that, most of the discussion has been around number 2. And since there's been a lot of amendments, there's been some tech issues getting everything in here. I think what I've seen on the chat, trying to look at the chat and pay attention to everything. So let me know if I missed something. It seems like Commissioner Nora's V3 one
What
to
about
number
the
2.
membership? Sorry, but Issa did propose an amendment.
Yes, that's a different amendment. We'll get to that one.
Oh, we're going out of order. Okay.
What?
It's under the second, it's under membership.
Oh, yeah, because nothing, it wasn't up there yet. So I was talking about the one that was up there. Now more things are up there. but it's not up there yet.
Okay, oh my God, this is hard to read.
Is that what you meant to
Okay.
cross everything else?
So the one that Commissioner Stephanie's talking about would be under membership, but it's not up there yet. There is a change to membership. But I think we're still having a few issues with document up there. Because,
What happened to Commissioner Nora's?
well, yes, that's for number 2, but
Yeah. Did it all just get, wiped out?
we're having
One moment.
difficulties with the document, so let's not look up there for right now, because
Okay.
there's a lot of things missing. So,
Stop sharing.
yeah, there we go. Okay,
Get us out.
so Commissioner Nora, we're gonna talk about Commissioner Nora's V3, version 3 of the number 2, because I feel like Commissioner Nora was taking all the ones that people are suggesting and kind of making a more compact thing that included what everyone was suggesting, but really grounded it in the climate action plan, making it not too broad but still having some direction. So I feel like that might be the best one for us to discuss. To put in for that number 2 while we work on the tech issues. Does anyone like a different language better? Are people okay with the V3 that's in the chat? Can anyone not see that? Commissioner Dan?
Yeah, Commissioner Dan D3. For that one, I really like it, and I would say maybe just end that at where it ends at emergency work plan, and just like hold work sessions to assess opportunities, advance in near-term policy, actions identified in the climate emergency work plan. And we don't even have to say the other things because we're going to be working from the climate emergency work plan anyway. But we're also maybe not necessarily limited to it. But anyway, I think ending it right there at the work plan, period.
Thank you. Commissioner Dana?
Commissioner Dana, District 4, she, her. I really like Nora's edits, Commissioner Nora's edits. I'm okay with Commissioner Dan's. I just wanted to note that it limits it to just what's noted in the work plan as if that's the full universe. And I feel like there may be more than what's that we might want to consider. I know that Angus's ideas go beyond some of what's in here, as well as I'm sure anyone that's on the committee may have ideas that expand beyond the work plan. So if there's a way we could include language that it doesn't make it seem like that's all that we're looking at. I don't really have a great edit right now, but if someone else does, that's the point I wanted to make. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Vivek?
Okay, Commissioner Vivek, District 2. It's actually very similar to what I was going to say. Just an example of that is something that's a near-term priority that comes to mind that doesn't deal with the specifics that were there, are things like, now, I haven't actually looked at that in the last couple of weeks, so interbureau collaborations, right? We were talking about that earlier. People were bringing it up, like creating these ways of connecting. Like those are things beyond the direct climate related topics that I think all of us are really passionate about. Yet, in order for these priorities to actually advance, there has to be a system in order for them to actually move. So having opportunities or mechanisms to be able to connect planning with, recreation, parks and recreation, with PBOT, with these other, and there are already, I'm sure, many of those in place. So how to do it with a climate lens, and how to do it with like things like budgets and things like that are outside of the direct, like things that we're bringing up around, emissions or adaptation or any of that. So just an example.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of support for that. So if someone can work on the language and put it in the chat, that'd be great. Commissioner Luna?
Commissioner Luna, she, her. Sorry about that. I just added some language in the chat that I think reflects that sentiment of for advancing near-term policy actions identified in, but
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So if everyone look at the chat, it's kind of, thank you for doing that, Commissioner Luna. Now that newest one. Do we like that? Yes, comments? Okay, I see lots of thumbs up. Do we vote on it or do we still have edits? Because this is very. This is keeping it very broad. The committee will come up with their own, the stuff they work on, essentially. Yes, do we have consensus? Any objections? Well, seeing no objections, I'll count that as everyone voting for it. Since we're working on this, I'm gonna go back to the other one that I know Commissioner Issa put in about the committee membership, including 2 youth commissioners representing different districts. Do we have any discussion around that? I will ask though, I hope the answer is yes, but do we have 2 youth commissioners who are gonna want to be on this? Yes, yes. Because the only problem with putting this in that we must have 2 commissioners in the committee. And then they can't or don't want to be on that subcommittee, then we'd immediately be under our violation of our own rules. So maybe we could, maybe membership must give priority to must give priority to 2 youth commissioners if they want to serve. I'm okay with them saying mandatory 2. I'm not okay with saying you have to do it if they don't want to. That's what I'm trying to say. So if anyone can come up with a slightly better language, that'd be great. Okay. Questions? Okay, Commissioner Luna.
Commissioner Luna, she, her. I'm concerned about the timing. My understanding is that the meetings will be happening during the daytime, and I'm just concerned about school attendance with that schedule.
Yeah. So do you know how to work with that at all?
For youth involvement, our options are nighttime meetings. The earliest is 5 p.m.
Okay. And do we have capacity to do more nighttime meetings?
Vivian Satterfield, CSO, you know, that does stretch the capacity of staff. However, we will work with the membership and work to meet the committee's meeting times. I do think the logistics is something for us to think about as you're working to stand up an additional committee.
Yeah. And then, as we've all mentioned multiple times tonight, we know the city's in a budget situation. So the fact that we don't have more staff should be a surprise to know. Commissioner stuff.
Commissioner Stephanie, District 3, she, her. I believe the amendment was proposed with the assumption that there were going to be 10 people on the committee, and 2 out of 10 was a reasonable proportion. But if it's a 5-person committee and 2 of them must be youth, where it changes the proportion. So that's just, it's a little murky that way. You can't say 20% of the commission. So I'm not sure how to fix it, but I also am not sure about. There's a strong priority on the youth pipeline, but that's only one element of diversity. Would we want to be saying the commission needs to be distributed among districts or age or gender, or, I mean, we're after diversity, but so just there's some confusion around, is this commission generally prioritizing the youth pipeline over the other forms of diversity on a committee by identifying that number? Because we get into the, then should we have 2 of this or 1 of that, or, so it's just questions I'm raising, but
Thank you.
Yeah.
There was a new amendment that just got posted Updates should be communicated to the full Sustainability and Climate Commission in a manner that is accessible and prioritizes the building of knowledge essential to creating a framework for the climate emergency work plan. That's for number 3. Okay. A little harder.
Yeah, we can't see.
Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Charity, we only have a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted a point of clarification. I'm sorry for the record, Commissioner Charity Fain. So if we have youth members, this committee can only meet in the after 5 p.m. Is that what I just heard or understood?
Yes, if we want youth to attend, it would only. be
Okay.
at those times. And that's our-
I would love some time to talk about, I brought this up, but just that kind of scheduling in the future, it makes it really hard to have only evening meetings for some folks as well. So some balance on times. If you have small children or children yourself, evening meetings are really difficult. So if this one can only meet in the evening, then I really can't be on it, which is disappointing to me. So I just want a clarification. Thank you.
Commissioner Seuss?
Hi, my computer died, sorry, that's why Commissioner Suze is handing me the mic. Commissioner Leah Almeida, she, her District 4. So I just wanted to elaborate on the amendment I proposed to number 3. That was to address what Commissioner Vivek was talking about earlier with just concerns around the direction we're heading in and like making sure everyone is up to speed on what we're trying to address with the climate emergency work plan, what's a priority, and making sure that the work the policy committee is doing is communicated in a way that is accessible for everyone, and really benefits everyone in creating the framework for the climate emergency work plan.
You. We're getting short on time. Does anyone, and I think we are a bit confused as to which is which. It's hard to see. Okay. I don't, the youth commissioner vote, we were working on possibly making softer language. Was anyone able to come up with just instead of must, maybe say prioritizing or just in case we can't swing it, like we can't do another evening meeting or we can do every other meeting, just making it so that we're not violating our rules. Commissioner Nora?
Yes, I was wondering if, I like what you were just getting at, Commissioner Jose, if there's a way to I'm thinking of it beyond a membership requirement, that the committee shall prioritize and ensure youth commissioner consultation and engagement in the process, maybe, including by, seeking opportunities for youth membership, or maybe we don't, I'm not sure if that part is needed, but a way to enshrine, I think the intent, which is like, we want to ensure participation from our youth commissioners, but not require the 2 seats, but I'd be interested, Co-Chair Issa, you had this original proposal, which I think is great, but curious how this conversation is landing for you.
I would
Not to
say,
put you on the spot, sorry.
oh, yeah. I would say based on other commissioners' input, I would say softer language definitely is needed. And so I just typed in new wording in the chat, which I'm gonna add right now. But I'm not sure if it's specific enough. I just mentioned how it may include up to 2 youth commissioners, so it's not as binding as saying there must be 2 youth commissioners. But I'm open to further changes to it to allow for more like leeway and to allow it to be more open to other commissioners who may not be able to make it to night meetings.
Thank you. And it's 7:57. So our meeting ends very, very soon. So is there any big concerns with the things that are up there right now and the things that have been discussed? Because we need to vote on these. We only voted on a couple things, but there's a couple things that still haven't been voted on. But keep in mind, it's only 7:57. Commissioner Angus?
Yeah, Commissioner Angus, I'm fine with the co-chair's new language, but you could also, if he wanted to make it more emphatic, you could still say, shall include, up to 2 members of the 2 youth commissioners, subject to their interest and availability or something like that. There are ways to condition it so that there's flexibility if, there aren't the members available or, they don't raise their hand.
Thank you. Commissioner Maya?
Commissioner Maya, D2. I'm just still a little bit perplexed about if we have decided or about whether this committee is really focused on existing city efforts that are ongoing, or whether it extends to other organizations and community groups within the city. So I just pose that for our next meeting. And I'm also curious if we should be contemplating the creation of other committees simultaneously, because as it was mentioned, this was somebody's proposal, but it's a bit overwhelming to think about community engagement and all these other dimensions of what could advance near-term climate priorities, and whether that's going to be a separate committee, and trying to avoid duplication and overlap. And so, yeah, just thinking about a single committee that was brought up by a single member of the commission potentially, I think makes it hard for me personally to think about what it is we're trying to achieve with this committee alone.
Well, the meeting ends in 1 minute. So we have to vote with this proposal now, or can we all stay 5 more minutes to finish out the discussion and vote? Or do we want to just vote on what we have?
There's a correction that didn't make it up there. Or it dropped out in the purpose. They
We
identifies.
did vote to advance and identifies. We did vote to change
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but that dropped out. We'll fix that because we voted on
Yeah,
that. We have
okay.
the recording.
No.
Can we stay 5 more minutes? Yes? Any objections?
It also, we decided on option 4, I thought, but there's a bunch of other options up there.
We can't do it. Consensus to the advice. Okay. So yes, we need to we need to vote at this meeting. So we're gonna vote on what's up there.
What are all those options, though? There's 4 options. I'm sorry, but we don't want them all.
No, I think we had talked about making it the final option
Option 4.
that Commissioner
Okay,
Luna posted.
yeah. Could we just get rid of the other ones then? If we're voting on what's up there, it should match what
And we can amend this in the future at the policy committee.
There we go. Good.
Okay.
I think we got it now.
Commissioner Angus, did you have something else or is that?
No, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Maya, saw your hand go back up.
Oh, Commissioner Maya, I was just asking Commissioner Stephanie if you're suggesting we just vote on the first line, which is the purpose, and we have to vote on everything that was proposed tonight?
Well, we need to, anything that
Okay.
doesn't get voted on just goes away. I mean, we can talk about it again, but we need to vote it for it to
Okay.
be implemented. We want to have a policy committee.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we can vote on whether or not we want to start this committee, and if you don't want to start this committee, we've talked about this, that's also an option. Someone can call for that vote. But I think after the discussion, we've gotten this to a place where we all feel more comfortable with it, with identifies in purpose. Under membership, we added instead of must, we said may include 2 youth commissioners. So we all agreed that that would be the better one. Then under work sessions, that's the option we talked about, and then there was the option 2, number 3, that was put up there by Commissioner Leah. Okay,
We got it.
identifies and advances, yes, okay. Okay, so now that all of these are up here and we've all discussed and we landed on places that we feel comfortable with, are we okay to vote? Okay, so raise your hand if you agree on the changes that have been made to the amendments. We're gonna vote on as a package. If you'd rather not vote as a package, let me know and I can pull something out, but this is just to make things faster. Anyone have an objection to voting as a package? Okay, seeing none. If you agree to vote on this and pass the amendments, please raise your hand. Or
What?
your Zoom hand,
Your
Zoom hand works.
Okay.
Why? I'll raise my Zoom hand too. Did everyone vote?
Please keep your hands
Oh.
up.
Please keep your hands up. If you don't have a Zoom hand, just raise your hand. You know, actually, doing hands I thought would be faster, but I think calling names might have been faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Where's the hands up on this?
What?
Yeah,
Does
Oh.
anyone want to stand aside?
that's it.
Any no's?
Bravo.
Well, considering there were stand sides and no no's, and I saw lots of hands.
Yeah.
It passes.
Right,
Can we lower them now?
Now you can lower that.
Okay.
Thank you. We went over 5 minutes, like I said. We could go back to, I guess. Okay, we completed the work session. At my last one of these things that was with the city, we had one meeting over an hour, so 5 minutes, not too bad. Hopefully we can get started on some of the policy work now that we have a framework, so now we can have a committee be started. So now we're gonna close the meeting. So again, please fill out the meeting feedback form. I mentioned it earlier, I'll mention it again. It's part of the last weekly high five that you received. Any feedback we get, we try to go over it. Our next regular meeting is on March 19th. The retreat is on Monday, February 23rd, 5:30 PM, in person, required for all commissioners. We're looking forward to creating a framework for the preliminary action plan there. And thank you all for getting through tonight's meeting and being here. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Excellent, Sharon. Thank you. You got us through.
Get on a Yeah.
Yeah. Because both my parents are on time. Yeah. So. Very complimenting.
I've seen before.
Yeah.